Let's start with football, and let's start with the new graphic that I created. It's the Brandon Aiyukdate. um, so
Dun-dun-dun.
so we don't have resolution yet on this, but I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of track every time I got an alert from Bleacher Report or The Athletic. And so here's what we have. We logged off around 6:30 p.m. This is all Pacific time on Monday. So an hour and a half after that, the 49ers had a trade framework with the Browns and the Patriots, and the team is reportedly giving Brandon Ayuk the choice on who he would accept an extension from. And then I wake up on Tuesday at 6:30. Washington had removed themselves from contention, and Pittsburgh would not meet the 49ers trade demands. At 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday, Steelers are still trying despite early reports that they're out. 7:30 on Tuesday, the Patriots are out. Brandon Ayuk would not agree to an extension there. We get the alert on Friday that Ayuk had turned down 32 million a year from the Patriots because he didn't like the quarterback situation. Fair. Um, 2:30 p.m. on Friday, Brandon Ayuk has re-engaged in contract talks with the 49ers after a meeting with Shanahan. And then 6:10 p.m. on Friday, the Browns reportedly offered Amari Cooper and a second and fifth round picks, which is almost exactly what I said it would take to get this trade done. So your boy is still an oracle. And then I get an alert 1:10 p.m. on Saturday. Ayuk is down to either staying with the Niners or being traded to the Steelers, and that's kind of where we're sitting right now.
Brandon
So it's been
Aiyuk's like,
a
I like the
wild week.
quarterback in SF, but I also want 32 million. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
it's just it's kind of comical at this point right now. It just feels like Ayuk showed up saying that he was going to come with a prom date, and everyone's been denying him the chance to be his prom date. So sounds like he's going to go back to his original plan here at this point, because I don't know if the Steelers is where I'd want to go either if I was Ayuk in this situation. Just saying. I'd say it'd
Yeah,
probably be a good place for him as far as being a number one QB, but doesn't mean that it's the good place for him to be.
I think the bottom line is the 49ers are unwilling to give him 32 million, 30 plus a season. Why? Because they're going to have to pay the quarterback next year. That's happening. They're going to pay him.
yeah.
You can't have all these guys, the wide receivers, the O-line, and the quarterback and the tight end making all this money. We're not even talking about the defensive side of the ball and how much money is over there with Nick Bosa's deal. They can't pay everybody. It's a cap league. The quarterback is going to get paid. But I think this is, if you were going to pay him, you would pay him this year. So I think that gives me a little bit of a clue is the 49ers don't want to pay him that this year because this is the 1 year that they could pay him and say, hey, we're going to give you 35 and then it's going to drop down because we got to squeeze in the quarterback. We've seen other teams do that. I don't think they view him as a legit number one. If you view him as a legit number one, you're giving him this money. This means you're not putting him in the class as other elite wide receivers like, Jefferson. Not going to get that money, dude. So I think if the best thing for Brandon Aiyuk is probably to take the 27, 28, 29, whatever it is the 49ers are offering, because you're going to make more money being on a winning team, a contender, a team that could get back to the Super Bowl and possibly win it. Whereas you're not going to win it in New England, most likely. You're probably not going to win it in Pittsburgh, and you're probably not going to win it in Cleveland. Those teams are not Super Bowl contenders right now. I guess the closest one might be Cleveland just because of the potential talent and the quarterback coming back from his nonsense, but they haven't proved anything. None of these teams have proved anything. So your best bet, stay with the 49ers and wait.
I mean, look at CD. CD's, probably on the verge of possibly seeing his options too. Now that the comments of his owner.
Receiver. Do you think
Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb is a legit number one wide receiver?
if I'm
I do.
comparing between Ayuk and him, yes, I'm
Yeah,
gonna go with CD is.
I
Of
agree.
course.
Yeah, I think CD's easily top five in
Yeah.
the league. He's not just a number one; he's one of the premier number ones in the league, and I think CD deserves his money. Not saying that Brandon Ayuk doesn't deserve his to get paid. He absolutely does. He played phenomenally. I don't know that he is at the number that CD deserves, though. If I'm being completely honest. Yeah.
See, I
Without
do
CD,
think
that Cowboys offense is going to be um nowhere near as good, as prolific
absolutely,
as it was. Like, he's
absolutely.
a difference maker. Losing Ayuk would drastically hurt the Niners. Let's not kid ourselves. But the Niners are still a Super Bowl contender without Ayuk. The Cowboys, that offense is I don't think they have enough in the receiver room without CD. So
And who's their head coach still? So,
Yeah, jeez,
yeah,
Louise. I can't believe McCarthy still has a job. To be totally honest with you.
he's the
we'll talk
yes
about
man.
for him in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Brandon Aiyuk thing, I just just sign a deal, man. Come back, win some games, and you'll probably make more off the field than you do on the field. If you guys win a Super Bowl,
Mhm.
I do
Yeah.
think though about like the NFL, like similar to the NBA, it does suck that the 49ers have drafted pretty damn well on Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, both wide receivers, Kittle, that teams constantly have to lose guys that they drafted.
Mhm.
So I do wish there was some type of I don't even know how you would do it in the NFL, but I do wish there was some way
Mhm.
to better to be less hard capped on players that you drafted. I think
Right.
that to me should be something that should be rewarded is when you draft guys,
Mhm.
that should be a reward that you get to retain them, just like the NBA. I think the NBA needs to fix that
Mhm.
too. Uh,
Maybe like maybe it's something like you get a 10% discount on the salary cap on guys that you drafted,
right.
or something like that.
Something
It
like that.
it could be something small like that to help with this, because yeah, I mean, and this is a situation that's not only hitting the Niners, it hits a lot of teams every year. Yeah, it's tough to go through it, and that's unfortunately the nature of this league. It definitely chews guys up and spits them out, but the guys that are able to stick around and get their money, man, um, you'd like to be able to see them get their money with the teams that made them famous. But I don't know. Yeah, so we're, right now we're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs, hoping for something to happen, man, and we'll see. So, I mean, specifically, I mean, we'll get into the games in just a second, but I think we can move on to just a couple of other news and notes for the league. And Aaron Rodgers has a bio coming out with lots of interviews. Tyler, you just put this
No,
in.
I put that in
Oh
there.
no, Sam, you just put this in.
So
I'm reading it now.
really what I wanted to bring up is so he has a book coming out, biography. It's going to get into his personal life. It's going to get into this issue with his family, his ex-girlfriend, Olivia Munn. But the thing that I wanted to bring up, Vince, is Aaron Rodgers was hoping to be drafted by the San Francisco 49ers, and
That's
they
right.
ended up taking Alex Smith.
Hmm.
So this is from I'm reading a quote here from ESPN that Mike Nolan, the head coach who drafted Alex Smith instead of Aaron Rodgers with the first overall pick in 2005, is still, quote, bothered that his offensive coordinator at the time, Mike McCarthy, benefited the most from that decision. McCarthy had a lot to do with picking the other one, Smith, and in the end, he got the one, Rodgers, that he didn't pick, and it elevated his career. What I'm reading a little bit between the lines, I think Nolan probably wanted Aaron Rodgers and was somehow the offensive coordinator convinced the 49ers to go with Alex Smith. The rest is history. Nolan doesn't have a job.
Hmm.
So I think there's a little bit of salt where maybe the head coach wanted to go with the Cal local boy and what could have been.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible to know because the situations are completely different. Like, the Packers drafting Aaron and then putting him on the bench for 2 years, before he ended up having to take over because Brett Favre was a chaotic son of a bitch. Whereas with the Niners, he would have had to play immediately behind a terrible offensive line like Alex Smith had to. And I don't know. if you're getting just pummeled over and over again, I mean, we saw it happen to Derek Carr's older brother David. You know, like that first year, he set the record for most sacks as a quarterback. Like, and that was just because that offensive line was a fucking like a
It was a
string
mess.
of toilet
It was a
paper,
mess.
man. It was fucking nothing. They just ran through it. Um, yeah, so I don't know if Aaron Rodgers becomes the Aaron Rodgers if he ends up on the Niners. So it's impossible to know that for sure. What we do know is that he does have he obviously had some skills and he was talked about as being a possible option, and they just chose the other guy. And
I
yeah,
don't know, man.
man, yeah.
A Vernon Davis and Aaron Rodgers combo would have been real nice to have seen back then, though. That would have been pretty
Mm.
deadly until
It
Vernon
would have
Davis
been
took that hit,
yeah.
and then
That would
everything
have been
changed for him.
yeah, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers on the Niners became the Aaron Rodgers that he was with the Packers when he was playing, then obviously that's a huge mistake. And but it's impossible to know for sure that that's what it would have happened. But I think he would have been probably better than Alex Smith ended up being, if I'm being completely honest. You know,
Now you
it's
never know, but
you just
to
can't know for
imagine
sure.
if everything went the same and you still get Harbaugh united with Aaron Rodgers.
Hmm.
Man, I don't know, dude.
That could have been fun. That could have been real fun.
I,
Yeah,
I
but
also feel
also
like that's going to be the draft that like Aaron Rodgers falling all the way down to Green Bay,
yeah, he is at
McCarthy being the
24.
offensive
Yeah.
coordinator, then ending up in Green Bay and getting the one Super Bowl, all that stuff. It's the ghost of everyone's past that draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our old friend Daniel in the chat is chiming in. Aaron Rodgers doesn't get that chip on his shoulder and becomes a great quarterback without that adversity. Not getting drafted by San Francisco made him Aaron Rodgers. And I
That's a
think
fair
that's a
point.
fair point too. Yeah.
It's a fair
Right,
point.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
and also sitting behind, douchebag Brett Favre that lended absolutely nothing as far as assistance goes to help him out as far as growing into being the QB. That
Right.
also probably helped out too, because he wasn't going to have that here in San Francisco.
No, he was going to start day one, I think,
Yeah,
just like Alex did, right?
yeah,
Alex was he didn't start day 1, but he was starting in that first season. Um it ended up going back and forth because Nolan couldn't settle on a starting quarterback.
yeah. I totally get you. Yeah, crazy man. Well, I
Yeah.
also read too that he regrets saying, you know, the whole COVID situation here.
Yeah.
I want to look. I can't. I mean, you continue the conversation, and you still continue the conversation about it to this day. So to
Yeah.
say you regret that comment, it's means nothing to me as well.
Yeah. I mean, he loves the attention. Let's not pretend he doesn't.
Yeah,
Kal-El doesn't become Clark Kent without Krypton being destroyed and having to be sent to another planet. Everything happens. Yeah. Absolutely. Uh, yeah. It took like 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. Daniel's in the chat as well, helping us with that too. So yeah, that's how I remember it too. It was, you know, 20 years ago now, almost at this point. But yeah, that's kind of how I remember it. It took a few games for Alex to start, to get into the starting lineup, and then it just kept like. I think there was an injury too, and like it's just like he was in and out of the lineup for years, basically, um, through mediocre play and or injuries. And then finally, when Jim Harbaugh comes together, I don't know, it just kind of worked for whatever reason. And that was after they failed to get Peyton Manning too. So, I mean, god
Yeah.
damn, what a journey. Anyway, we should probably move on to the next note that's in
This
here.
is Tyler's old buddy,
Yep,
Hassan Reddick,
demanding that
demands
trade,
a
man.
trade
Yeah,
when he just got traded.
yeah, man. I don't know, man. Well, I don't understand what is happening here. The reports are saying that he knew he wasn't going to get the money he wanted as far as an extension goes with the Jets. So it didn't make any sense why he went there to begin with. It
Well, he
sounds
got
like
traded there, right? I don't know if
right, but it was
you
under it
have a
was
no
under
trade
him and
clause.
his it was under exactly it was under him and his agent's guidance that said we want to go here instead. But they had a deal done in Atlanta, and then everything that happened after that just kind of got swept under the rug. Like I don't know if maybe we, Atlanta couldn't give what Eagles wanted as far as trade pieces go, or what it may be, but it sounds like he's now tried to revisit and open the door with Atlanta to be traded. But the Jets have already come out and said we're not trading Hassan Reddick. That's
Yeah.
absolutely not happening. So, hey man, it's your bed. You got to lay in it, my guy. So,
Yep.
I'll,
And
I'll have to say
Jets.
is Howie Roseman is a fucking genius because not only did we move on from him, we picked up another edge rusher in that following draft who was just
Who was the former Jets defensive end, right?
well, no. So we picked up their middle linebacker, but we picked up an edge rusher in the draft who is literally Hassan Reddick 2.0, and we don't have to pay him Hassan Reddick money. So I'll take
Jets
it.
gonna jet, man. I
Yeah.
mean, this
Yeah.
is par for the course for that franchise. Like, even when it's not their fault, they still find themselves in this situation, man. It just chaos finds them, and it is what it is. All right, so let's just talk real quick about the preseason. The Niners and the Titans, they played kinda 17-13. The Titans end up getting that win. Brandon Allen, like, he played okay. There was a couple of drop balls that could have been big gains for him in the first half. Yeah.
Bryce Huff. I'm sorry, that's who I was thinking of. Bryce Huff.
Bryce Huff. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. Continue.
Yeah. Let's see what else. There was a couple other notes in here that I saw. Yeah, Joshua Dobbs was the guy who came in the second half. So, like, I mean, he got a touchdown run, like shook off some guys, and I mean, both of the guys played okay, but I mean, they're playing for the backup positions, right? We're not uh, there's nothing really to track. It's who's the third stringer at this point. Um yeah, so uh yeah, what else? It was the new kickoff rule. What do you guys think about that so
I'm
far?
actually, you know what? I know people are like, I really like the old way, but honestly, I kind of like the idea of an action being forced into the hand there.
Mhm.
Just so you don't have
I
to.
don't like the little pocket zone thing
Mhm.
that if it
Mhm.
bounces here, it's you go to the 20, but if it bounces there, you go to the 30. Like
Mhm.
getting it in the little perfect little drop zone.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
like between the 20 and the goal line,
that
yeah.
seems like some Madden training game that you would do with your kickers, with your punter. You know,
Right.
Yeah, but I
trying
would
to-
also argue that like it requires team to do strategy when it comes to using your kicker, your punter. Like if you got a crap one,
Mhm.
that's going in the end zone. I'm
Right.
telling him, don't even try it. Just go to the end
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah.
yeah, but
So
they could have seriously just moved the kicker back and
Mhm.
enforce the same rules of like uh the kicking team can't move until the ball is received. If you wanted to have a return, just move the kicker back another 10-15 yards because they're kicking it from the 30 still.
yeah.
35, I think,
So
but yeah.
you could have moved him back to the 20. I mean, if a kicker puts it to the back of the end zone from the 20, then like he fucking deserves it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just like that it procs the chances of having more action into it and eliminates the fact of people running full speed into each other. So you still get some action into it. So I'm not completely sold on it, but I enjoy the fact that it's just not an end zone kick
I
every
like
single time.
the idea of it. I
Yeah.
want to see. Remember D'Angelo Hall? The like every week there was a highlight of him taking a kick back, and sometimes two, sometimes a kick and then a punt. Um, I think that is exciting, but the little drop zone thing is video game gimmicky. Yeah, gimmicky. That's
Mhm.
Daniel says that too, gimmicky. But I like the idea of what they're trying to do. So
Right. Just trying to
give it a
get
chance in the regular
something.
season.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last note from that Niners game is Ambry Thomas broke his forearm. Yeah, he's a depth piece. He was um a cornerback. I think he's a third cornerback on the depth chart. So kind of important, but like so he's out indefinitely, but he's not done for the year. He'll be back a little bit later. Devin Hester's a good call out from my father as well. That's another player that used to be really exciting on kickoffs. Yeah. So that's the Niners side of it. Um, Eagles, Ravens.
I have one note
Yeah.
because it's the
Yeah.
first preseason game. Kenny Pickett looked better than Justin Fields, and that's embarrassing. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I've got for you.
Yeah, you do get the win though, like it matters, 16-13. And then Sam, Raiders lose by a point, 24-23 against the Vikings. You got any notes from that game?
I mean, just it's going to come down to the quarterback position. I don't think any quarterback did anything to lose the job, but at the same time, I didn't see a quarterback do anything to like run away with the job. Um, the offensive line, the left tackle on that opening drive, Aiden O'Connell was putting together a really nice drive. I think he started 5 for 5, and was picking up the offense really good. And then they gave up a sack on a third down. But the left tackle really blew it. I don't think that was really on Aiden O'Connell, but he should have had the urgency to get the ball out. I really like Brock Bowers. Flashes of Brock Bowers, the tight end. I can hear Julia walking around behind me.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers looked great. I love the twin tight end sets. So I think offensively they're going to have some stuff up their sleeve, but it's going to come down to execution. They lost the game, but that was a bunch of guys trying to make the roster. So congratulations to the Vikings. You're undefeated when it doesn't count.